Back in television's golden age, not every idea turned into a classic. The 1960s gave us some of the strangest TV experiments ever, shows so bad they vanished almost overnight. From sitcoms with chimpanzees to a car that talked like your mother, these flops became legends for all the wrong reasons. Before we begin, hit like and subscribe. Today we're revisiting 10 forgotten TV shows from the 1960s that failed miserably. 1961 opened with one of television's most infamous missteps, You're in the Picture on CBS. Hosted by the celebrated Jackie Gleason, the show placed celebrities behind cardboard cutouts, asking them to guess the scene. On stage, Gleason's charm was undeniable, but the format was clumsy and confusing. Critics quickly ridiculed it, audiences at home sat in uncomfortable silence, and the excitement of a new program turned into second-hand embarrassment. The backlash was immediate. Rather than airing a second episode, Gleason returned the following week to deliver a live apology, admitting the concept was a mistake. Within days, CBS canceled the show, cementing its place in history as one of the shortest-lived primetime experiments ever. Today, You're in the Picture survives not as entertainment, but as a cautionary tale, proof that even beloved entertainers could miss the mark. It set the tone for a decade when networks chased bold ideas, sometimes landing brilliance and other times delivering unforgettable flops. After Gleason's awkward experiment earlier in the decade, ABC tried to close out the 1960s with something they billed as the future of comedy turn-on. Premiering in February 1969, the show abandoned traditional sketches for lightning-fast gags, strobing visuals, and computer-like edits. Executives hoped it would outdo the hit Laugh-In, but for viewers at home, the effect was jarring, even dizzying. Some local stations grew so uncomfortable that they pulled the plug before the first episode had even finished. Advertisers demanded answers. Critics dismissed it as chaotic, and ABC canceled the show immediately. Though a second episode had been taped, it never aired, leaving Turn On remembered as one of television's fastest cancellations. In hindsight, its frantic style may have been ahead of its time, but in the late 1960s, audiences wanted warmth and laughter, not alienating experiments. It was another reminder that boldness alone couldn't guarantee success. If you're enjoying this journey through TV's strangest flops, hit like and subscribe. Your support keeps these memories alive. While game shows and experimental comedy stumbled, networks also placed their bets on star-driven sitcoms. In September 1966, ABC launched The Tammy Grimes Show. Built entirely around the Broadway actress's flamboyant charm, she played a wealthy heiress who preferred adventure over duty, a role designed to showcase her theatrical personality. But what sparkled on stage dimmed under the glare of television lights. The scripts were thin jokes, rarely landed, and audiences used to more conventional sitcom rhythms found her delivery strange and distant. Despite heavy promotion, ratings collapsed almost instantly. After just 4 episodes, ABC pulled the plug, making it one of the shortest-lived sitcoms of its time. Critics later described it as a case of miscasting and poor creative direction, a reminder that talent alone couldn't rescue a flawed concept. Together with You're in the Picture and Turn On, it showed how risky the 1960s could be for ambitious television. Looking at these early misfires, what do you think was harder for audiences to swallow? An idea that felt too silly, one that felt too strange, or a star vehicle that never connected? If star-driven sitcoms could collapse under weak scripts, then high-concept comedy sometimes failed even faster. NBC's My Mother the Car is now legendary for all the wrong reasons. Premiering in September 1965, it followed attorney David Crabtree, played by Jerry Van Dyke, whose deceased mother returned as the voice of a 1,928 Porter touring car. Each week, the car dispensed motherly advice through its radio, steering her son through life's troubles. Audiences didn't embrace the odd premise. Critics called it tasteless, absurd, and unfunny, even by the looser standards of mid-60s television. Though the network allowed a full season of 30 episodes, ratings never improved, and the show was canceled the following spring. Over time, My Mother the Car has often topped lists of the worst TV shows ever made, a reputation that oddly keeps it from being forgotten. The image of a shiny antique car speaking with a mother's scolding voice lingers as one of the decade's strangest reminders of how far networks were willing to push for novelty. After a talking car had pushed audiences past their limits, ABC tried to capture the swinging London trend with The Ugliest Girl in Town. Premiering in September 1968, it starred Peter Kastner as Tim O'Hara, a Hollywood talent agent who accidentally found himself in drag for a photo shoot. The pictures landed him a modeling contract overseas, forcing him to live a double life as both Tim and Timmy. The network thought the mod-era setting would feel fresh, but instead it came across as forced and awkward. Critics dismissed the series as tasteless, while viewers simply tuned out. By January 1969, only 20 episodes had aired before ABC canceled it. Rather than a witty snapshot of youth culture, the show became a cautionary tale of networks chasing trends they didn't understand. Today it's remembered not for comedy, but for how out of step it felt with the image of an American man strutting through London runways in disguise, standing as one of the 60s more puzzling television memories. As oddball premises kept piling up, CBS joined the race with It's About Time, created by Sherwood Schwartz, the same producer behind Gilligan's Island. Launched in September 1966, it followed two astronauts whose mission went wrong, leaving them stranded in the Stone Age. Early episodes leaned heavily on caveman, slapstick, grunts, clubs, and endless misunderstanding. Audiences quickly grew restless. Midway through the season, writers tried a desperate pivot. Instead of astronauts adapting to prehistory, the cavemen were transported into modern times. But the ratings collapse couldn't be reversed. After 26 episodes, the series ended quietly remembered mostly for its catchy theme song rather than its storytelling. Unlike The Ugliest Girl in Town, which stumbled over shifting fashion trends, It's About Time revealed the limits of gimmicks without substance. Viewers might forgive a far-fetched idea, but not when the humor wears thin. If you're enjoying this journey through the quirks and failures of 60s television, hit like and subscribe. Your support helps keep these forgotten stories alive. While CBS experimented with astronauts and cavemen, NBC turned its attention to a simpler formula: summer camp antics. Camp Run-Amok, debuting in September 1965, centered on the rivalry between an all-boys camp and an all-girls camp. Each week brought prank wars, slapstick chases, and over-the-top counselors trying to keep order. The network promoted it as lighthearted fun for the whole family, but the balance was never right. Children might have chuckled at the cartoonish chaos, yet adults found it too shallow and repetitive. Critics brushed it aside as juvenile entertainment that belonged in Saturday morning slots, not prime time. After 26 episodes, the show was canceled in 1966, though reruns lingered briefly in kids' programming. In retrospect, Camp Run-Amok sits alongside It's About Time as another example of the decade's tendency to push spectacle without depth, whether it was astronauts in furskins or campers knee-deep in slapstick mud. As NBC's camp comedy faded, CBS tried to breathe life into another declining genre, the Western. Pistols and Petticoats arrived in September 1966 with a bold twist: a frontier family of women gunslingers led by Hollywood veteran Ann Sheridan. The setup promised both action and humor as the family balanced small-town life with the constant threat of outlaws. On paper, it was refreshing female characters front and center in a genre long dominated by men. But by the mid-60s, Western fatigue had already set in. Viewers were drifting toward fresher formats, and the show's scripts struggled to keep pace. Tragedy struck when Sheridan passed away during production, leaving the series without its heart. After 26 episodes, the show ended in 1967, fading quickly from the schedule. Today, Pistols and Petticoats lingers as a curious experiment, a glimpse of women in charge during a time when the genre itself was on its last legs, remembered as much for its promise as for its misfortune. As Westerns struggled to hold attention, CBS turned to star power, hoping to capture lightning in a bottle with the Judy Garland Show. Premiering in September 1963, it featured the beloved Hollywood icon in a weekly variety hour. Garland's voice was as dazzling as ever, and the program mixed musical numbers with comedy sketches. Yet behind the curtain, turmoil brewed. Producers changed repeatedly, leaving the format inconsistent and the pacing uneven. To make matters worse, the show faced stiff competition on Sunday nights against NBC's Bonanza, one of the most dominant programs of the era. Ratings never stabilized, and despite Garland's undeniable talent, the series was canceled after a single season of 26 episodes. Today, it's remembered less as a failure of Judy herself and more as a painful reminder that even legendary stars could be undone by bad scheduling and shaky production. Placed alongside Camp Run-Amok and Pistols and Petticoats, it showed just how unpredictable the 60s could be for television. Thinking about these three shows, what do you feel mattered most to audiences back then? Fresh ideas, strong writing, or simply the right time slot? As variety hours stumbled and Westerns lost ground, NBC decided to ride the superhero wave sweeping television in the mid-60s. Captain Nice premiered in January 1967, starring William Daniels as Carter Nash, a timid chemist who transformed into a crime fighter after drinking a secret formula. Unlike Batman's sleek camp or Superman's confident heroics, Captain Nice was clumsy, hesitant, and more likely to cause accidents than save the day. For a brief moment, audiences laughed at his bumbling rescues and offbeat charm. But the novelty wore thin, and critics noted the writing never rose above slapstick. Competing with other stronger shows, its ratings collapsed quickly. After just 15 episodes, NBC canceled the series, leaving it as a quirky footnote in television history. Looking back, Captain Nice joined a long line of 60s experiments that tried to cash in on trends but couldn't sustain interest. From cardboard game shows to cross-dressing comedies, the decade proved that not every gamble could pay off. Your comments keep these memories alive. Drop yours below, and don't forget to subscribe for more nostalgic journeys through television's forgotten past. The 1960s proved that not every gamble could become a hit. Some shows were simply too strange, too rushed, or too misplaced. Yet their failures tell us as much about the era as its successes. Which flops surprised you the most? Share your memories below, and don't forget to subscribe for more nostalgic journeys.